With the first episode of Bleach's second Cour airing on Saturday the 8th of July, we're slowly getting more and more information about the second Cour of the series. In this video, I want to talk about some concerns that I have about the pacing of the second Cour. Earlier in the year, I'd made a predictions video where I'd spoken about how many chapters are going to be adapted into the second season of the 1000-Year Blood War arc. We know that the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime in total is going to have 52 episodes, which will be split into 4 parts. This has been confirmed by several members of the anime staff, as well as by Kubo and the voice actors. The first Cour of the anime had roughly adapted 63 chapters, which had spanned from chapter 480 all the way up until 542 over the 13 episode run of the first season. For some people, including myself, it had felt like the pacing was just a bit too fast during the first Cour. On average, we had about 4.8 chapters adapted per episode. If they'd continued at this pace of roughly 5 chapters per episode, then we can expect 65 chapters adapted into the second Cour of the anime over the next batch of 13 episodes. This would take us all the way up until the end of chapter 607, which would be the reveal of Ichibe's Shikai. In my predictions video, I was expecting the pacing of the anime to have slowed down for the second Cour, predicting that the second Cour would only adapt all the way up to chapter 598. But there are hints that we're going to be seeing material all the way from chapter 610 and onwards in the second Cour, believing that having Yhwach, Uryu and Hashwad arrive within the royal palace being a perfect way to end the second Cour. But it seems as though Ichibe versus Yhwach is actually going to be in the second Cour of Bleach, and this comes from a brand new post made by Kubo over on his official fan club Club Outside. In the post, Kubo says that the dubbing for the second Cour is approaching the final stages, and that there are going to be some important scenes involving Ichibe, the monk priest. What is fascinating is that Kubo had included an image along with his post, and in the image you can see that Kubo is working alongside Shiro Sagisu to create an all-new OST which is titled Monk's Shrine Technique. Apparently Kubo is writing the lyrics and Shiro Sagisu will be making the instrumental song. Now there's some debate whether Ichibe's battle against Yhwach is going to be included in the second Cour, but if they're creating an OST called Monk's Shrine Technique, then I'm pretty certain that they're referring to material from chapter 610, which involves Ichibe's magnificent death mausoleum ability that he uses while in his Shikai form. This really throws a lot of my predictions off for what we can expect during the end portions of Cour 2. Towards the end of 2022, Kubo had stated that he had drawn about 20 pages of rough outlines for additional scenes that will be included in the second Cour. This is a lot more material than the extra stuff that was included in the first Cour, because we know we had a lot of exclusive scenes involving Uryu's character, as well as extended fight sequences for Yamamoto versus Yhwach, as well as Ichigo versus Yhwach. Kubo was quoted to saying that around the end of the year, he had drawn about 20 pages of names for additional scenes in the second Cour, and he's looking forward to seeing how they will turn out within the anime. Kubo describes having drawn 20 names, which is a rough draft of a finished manga page, and he has entrusted the anime staff to incorporate these 20 pages of rough drafts into the next season somehow. But how can this be properly done if we're going to be having about 65 to 70 chapters that are going to be adapted into Cour 2? We know that of these 20 pages, 5 to 6 of them are rough drafts for an all-new battle that was not included within the manga. Some fans have speculated that this could be Shinji's battle against the soldat, but from what Kubo had said, it's going to be an all-new fight in a new environment between 2 individuals. Kubo had said that the anime staff had wanted fights between different characters which were not drawn within the manga, so they had in fact requested to Kubo if they could have some certain fights between different characters in the second Cour. This is what had led to Kubo drawing these rough outlines for the anime staff. This is in addition to comments made back in Jump Festa last year, where Uryu's voice actor had spoken about Uryu having more of a role within the second Cour, because the first Cour had definitely elaborated upon his role in the story. We had seen him kind of come to the decision of joining the Sternritter after he had read about the history of the Quincy. This was all of the concrete information that we have known about the second Cour going into it. After the release of the trailer, we can definitely see some anime exclusive content in there, including some scenes involving Tokinada, possibly a Soul King flashback, as well as the inclusion of Shinji's bankai. Now it makes me wonder how on earth are the anime staff going to juggle with all of these additions, including the 20 pages of rough drafts that Kubo has drawn, all while adapting 70 chapters worth of manga material. There is some concern over on Twitter with people saying that they don't understand why people are getting happy and excited over this rumor about Yhwach and Ichibe being included in Cour 2, as it's kind of a worst case scenario. 70 chapters that are going to be squeezed into 13 episodes is not good, and I have to say that I agree with this post. There was a lot of complaining about the pacing of Cour 1, with a lot of material not being included in the anime, with some of the explanations of abilities and techniques being sidelined into the mid-card for the episodes, instead of being included during fight scenes or discussions between characters like it was within the manga. There are some people also feeling vindicated following this announcement, stating that for the longest while they've been saying that Ichibe vs Yhwach will be included in Cour 2 and we're gonna have 70 chapters over 13 episodes, and Shiro Sagisu is cooking some amazing soundtracks for Ichibe. I mean, considering the pacing that we're going to be having, it doesn't seem like much additions are going to be made into the anime, which will flesh out the Zero Division, because in the manga they pretty much got off-screened. If we're already going to be rushing through manga material, what chance is there for the anime to add included scenes of the Zero Division, which would help to match our expectations of this incredible elite Shinigami fighting force, which was severely underutilized in the manga. Some other people are saying that director Taguchi is taking a big L if this is true. Cour 1 was already fast-paced, and it seems that Cour 2 is going to be even more faster in its pacing. I'd wanted there to be less chapters now adapted following Cour 1 so that we get more original anime-only scenes, but this doesn't appear to be the case for Cour 2. I thought that Cour 1 was going to be a necessary sacrifice where we rushed through a lot of the material which was done fairly well within the manga, but now that we're approaching scenes that were kind of rushed and where Kubo had underutilized groups of characters like the Sternritters not having proper backstories or the Zero Division just being off-screened, it's really disappointing to see that the pacing isn't going to change for Cour 2. Some fans are expressing concern that if they're gonna adapt 70 chapters, then rest assured we're gonna have even more cut content in Cour 2. Just what on earth will they not include from the manga, and how are they planning on making all of these anime exclusive scenes if all they have is 13 episodes worth of runtime? Some fans are saying that Cour 2 of the 1000 Year Blood War arc features a lot more fight scenes instead of narration, so in anime form the fights will run faster, so it's not really going to be an issue in Cour 2. And I won't lie, some Bleach chapters involving fight scenes are really easy to get through within 3 to 5 minutes, and I think a lot of the issue during Cour 1 was that a lot of narration heavy chapters weren't properly adapted into the respective episodes. And with the batch of chapters that Cour 2 is adapting, there certainly are a lot of fight scenes. We're going to be seeing Rukia vs Asnod, Hitsugaya vs Bazbi and Kangdu, Soifon vs BG9, Komamura vs Bambiata, Mairi vs Giselle, and we've had confirmation Shinji is going to be included in extra fight scenes versus the Soldat. There are hints of Ichigo's battle against Uryu, or not to mention now all of this added material in the Royal Palace, where we'll see the Zero Division being taken out, and then lastly Ichibe vs Yhwach, which is going to be the last fight to wrap up Cour 2 on before Yhwach makes contact with the Soul King. Other fans have a positive outlook on the matter, stating that one of the main reasons why the Hueco Mundo arc was one of the worst arcs in Bleach is because of how long the fights were dragged out within the anime, stating that they don't think that Cour 2 having 70 chapters adapted is a bad idea, because most of these chapters include a lot of fighting. All of the big fights will have one episode, whereas the less important ones will move faster in pacing. They'll cut the comedy and add some anime original scenes, so if they're going to be adapting up to chapter 610 in Cour 2, then it means that they're going to have 77 chapters remaining for Cour 3 and Cour 4. So on average, 40 chapters worth of material adapted into Cour 3 and Cour 4 respectively. This means that we're going to have a lot of anime original scenes for the final half of the 1000 Year Blood War arc. Maybe this is the necessary sacrifice we'll have to make in order for Cour 3 and Cour 4 to feel more fleshed out and to give us a proper finale to the 1000 Year Blood War arc. I mean, this may be a worst case scenario, but if we look at the benefits from it, then we have 80 chapters spread over these final 2 cores, which means 2 to 3 chapters per episode, and there's a lot of room to add additional material. And to be honest, a lot of the cut content in Cour 1 and Cour 2 has been comedy scenes or redundant explanations which don't really serve to further the plot. I mean, it would have been nice to see some Sternritter backstories in Cour 2, but I don't think we're going to be getting that. I just hope that they don't rush through some of the highly anticipated fights like Bambietta vs Komamura or Rukia vs Asnod. One of the most highly anticipated fights I want to see properly adapted is Kinpachi vs Grammy. I just hope that it gets the respect that it deserves in the anime adaptation. Aside from all of this, it's great that Kubo is writing lyrics for an all-new song and Shiro Sagisu is composing the music for it. But yeah, from this singular post, it's made us all worried for the pacing for Cour 2. Do you think that it's right that they're adapting about 70 chapters worth of material in Cour 2? Do you agree with some of the reassuring reasoning that we've read on Twitter, where a lot of the material is fight scenes which can be easily adapted into several chapters per episode, and that sacrificing the pacing for Cour 1 and Cour 2 means that we'll get a lot more additional material in Cour 3 and Cour 4 where it is desperately needed? I'd love for you all to continue the discussion in the comments. Let me know all of your thoughts about this issue of pacing for Cour 2, or even if it is an issue in the first place. So yeah, I can't wait to read all of your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you're up to date with all of the latest Bleach news, because there's surely going to be more and more information releasing as we get closer to the 8th of July and the release of the first episode of Cour 2. Thanks for making it to the end of yet another video, and I can't wait to see you in my next Bleach video. If you enjoy my content, then you can support my channel through Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or even through YouTube by becoming a channel member. You will gain access to exclusive channel perks and a Discord server which I frequently use. So become a member of my Zero Division and be the first to know about my upcoming videos. And once again, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.